What's up, guys? Welcome to Talks and Gambits show by Wishful Thinkerz. This is where we interview people. The gambit is that people spend time with us. So here today we have an upcoming DJ, chess master in my opinion, and originally from Croatia, Niko Ilic. Niko, how you doing?
Doing great. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. So Niko was telling me that he grew up in Croatia for a bit. He would travel there over the summers. I mean, you do have a native tongue and English accent too.
Yeah. I grew up there from the ages of about early childhood, so I would say maybe like 3 or 4 months, whatever that age is, where you could fly in a plane, and stayed till about 4 or 5, right before kindergarten or preschool rather. So I came early enough to lose the accent in that sense. But I was actually also born here. I was born in Chicago. For citizenship reasons, to make it easy. But
like, you just get your
I got my citizenship and left. That's
Trump is shipping your back to Croatia.
Yeah. Basically, I think it was Clinton, but yeah.
Oh God,
that was basically how it was, and I just grew up there. And actually, my first accent was an English, a proper English accent.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I called my mom mother. You know, because they taught me English in the house. Because the plan was I was going to actually grow up in Croatia. So I'm like, oh, why don't we just make him bilingual?
Mm-hmm.
We'll teach him, English. We'll be forced to learn Croatian in school, and everything will be all okie dokie. So, I always had the TV on, and what's on?
Yeah.
BBC. So that's how I picked up an English accent.
Like you have, who was it? Like a Bill Burr type accent.
Yeah, exactly. It was just like, but like a little, like my squeaky voice of a little child. Yeah, mother. I always used to love eating tangerines and watching my favorite TV show. Life was good. Then about 4 or 5, came back over to the U.S. Moved in, went by my grandparents' house here in Chicago, and started my education. Really, and that was about it.
So, like, how often do you go to Croatia?
I try to go back once every 3 years. I try to keep it around that type of frequency, because I still have a lot of family out there. My great grandparents are still out there.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's fun. I have a pretty young family. My great grandparents are younger than some people's grandparents. They're turning 88, which is, it's pretty old, but it's I guess young for great grandparents. And it's just interesting to see. It was a different time. People got married young, had kids young, and all that stuff.
But like you were telling me, like a little bit going off topic. You were telling me, like, with Croatia, it takes like an hour from you to drive like top to bottom.
A little bit longer, maybe like 3, 4.
Okay.
But yeah, it's not that big of a country. I mean, you think of the U.S. and it's massive.
Yeah,
it'll take you 3 days to get from here to Chicago to Arizona. It's a 3-day trip in itself. Maybe 3.5 if you're going to California, depending on what route you take. Whatever. Yeah. I mean, you could get top to bottom of Croatia, like I said, 3-4 hours. And the interesting thing about it, though, it has all the different scenery that you'll find in the U.S. You have the sea coast, you have the mountains, you have the the grasslands, plains. You have your city life, you have your village, and a lot of Croatia. There's a lot of buildings in Croatia that are actually older than the whole of the United States. Like if you go to Dubrovnik, that was actually that's where they film Game of Thrones, by the way, King's Landing. But it's a huge castle meant to keep out invaders, and it's been around since 700 and still there today.
Yeah. Like I would think of like filming Game of Thrones, it would be in somewhere like Europe, or it would be somewhere else other than a small little country like that. But does Croatia have a lot of castles? Like probably like
yes, there's a lot of castles. It's actually one of the countries in Europe with the best preserved Roman architecture. So there's this place called Pula. It's actually, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the best preserved Colosseum. It's even better preserved than the one in Italy, the main Colosseum. And Croatia is very gifted for a small country. I mean, it's a small country. There's only 4.5 million population, but it's still relevant in a lot of geography areas. I mean, I think 10% of the country is actually UNESCO sites and national parks, and it's protected. It really is beautiful. I mean, you could just look up some pictures of like Krka or Plitvice Jezera. There's a ton of different beautiful places that just. I mean, really, it was gifted. Yeah. It was gifted land. It's prime real estate,
Yeah, and I feel like that's always better to get away from like the U.S. and get away from Chicago, especially because
they're kind of opposites. Yeah.
Because like you have like houses like bungalows that are like spaced out and they have room, and you're able to walk to a certain place and not worrying about like things happening to you or whatever.
Yeah, and crime rate's very low.
Yeah. And that's always good because you want to live in a place like that. I'm not saying like pick up and move to another country, but it's good to get away for a while. Like
it's good to grow up and like if your parents don't have to worry about you that you're out late, that's a good sign, you know.
So what's like the drinking age?
So officially it's 18. But I mean, in all actuality, it's if you look old enough, and in a lot of places, it's not a rich country, so it's kind of like they need to sell it to you. Yeah. So, he looked old enough to me. It's more of that type of a deal, you know. You go to a cafe. I've never been asked once about my age when buying alcohol out there.
You could pull off 18 when you were 14, probably.
Yeah, I mean, you just get the little beard going, deep in your voice,
little pube.
It was funny. I saw my cousin 12. He just ordered shots for the bar.
God,
this is so different. Like no identification necessary. Not to like say that not to promote drinking, but I mean it's all done in moderation.
Yeah. So
I think that's the biggest difference between American drinking and I guess European drinking is just the manner in which it's done. A lot of times the laws in the U.S. I think encourage like binge drinking, the forbidden fruit, kids get curious, of course, and it's never good to drink alone, and it's more of a social thing, more of something that should be done amongst friends. At least that's how I was taught,
I mean, with all the stuff that has happened in your life, that your dad does live out there, right?
Yeah, he has a residence. He has like a little ranch house he built, like a log cabin.
I mean, when you do go and visit him, do you guys? Does he ask you and your brother? Does he say like, "Hey, you want to go get a beer?"
Yeah, no, we get beers all the time. Like, we went to Zadar, which is a city, and it's a cafe culture. So you literally sit at a cafe for 2-3 hours and just talk and just order like 2 or 4 drinks. Depending on how many people you got there. And then my dad would always just say, 3 beers or whatever. We would always get like a Radler or something light. That's like half beer, half lemonade. It's really refreshing in the summer.
Okay.
But my favorite out there is probably like Karlovačko or something. That's a Croatian beer. And then you have Hefeweiser, which is a German wheat beer with little hops. So it has a banana taste almost to it. Really fascinating. I like my alcohol.
So when was the last time you probably got slammed out there?
I never got slammed out there.
Oh.
See, that's the difference. I mean, there was one time it was fun story. I was going to a nightclub. I was a little bit underage. I was 17. And, my brother's with me. My brother at this time is 15. Yeah, he's 15. I'm 17. We're with my friends. We're walking in, and usually they don't ID you before 11 o'clock, but we got there a little bit later, 11:30. So my brother walks in, and he's 2 years younger than me. He walks in, no problem. Okay, bouncer just says, go in. I come up. He's like, whoa, I need your ID. I'm like freaking out. Like, oh my god, my birthday's in 2 months. I'm about to turn 18, and my brother gets in. Are you kidding me? So I reach for my ID, and fun fact: American IDs, they do month, day, year. The rest of the world is day, month, year in increasing order. So he's looking at it, and he asked me in Croatian, what the hell kind of month is 19? And so I'm quick, right? I'm like, oh, that's actually 7 for July plus 12 because I was under 18 when I got it. And he's like, oh, okay. So I made it look like my birthday was literally 5 days ago, and then I got in.
I mean, that's pretty bold of you to do that because
well, when you're scared, you come up with a solution, right?
Yeah. I was you're backed into a corner. You have to think of something right away. Yeah, that's always good to do when you want to go drinking.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, for me, it wasn't even about that. It was about being there with my friends, and then the music. I love the music, and the music style's a little different. It's a lot of the throwback stuff that I used to listen to in maybe America, like some Alice DJ type stuff.
Because it takes about 10 years for transition.
I mean, it's not like that, but let me put it this way: it was 2010, and they were playing "Low" by Flo Rida, that type of stuff. 2006 type. Stuff that I was listening to a couple of years back, but I mean, it was still relevant out there.
That's still pretty awesome to experience all that stuff.
It really was. It was just like the first club environment I've really been in. Music really changed my life, and it was just one of my favorite things to do.
Oh yeah, you're talking about becoming a professional DJ one day.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm starting that, like, I guess that's like my dream, right?
Mm-hmm. But
everyone has some sort of rock star.
It's different because like the school that we went to, not a lot of people are the school that Nico graduated from, and I'm attending now, and I'm a senior. Not a lot of people are into music in general, and like they love listening to music. I see people with their earbuds all the time, like in the hallways, but I barely see anybody playing it. Like,
you know, it's not like a conversation or a discussion. You know, it's
but like
some radio stuff.
You were telling me that you met Steve Aoki over one of the summers.
Yeah,
that must have been awesome.
That really was, man. I got a picture with him, me and him doing the Aoki jump. It was a pretty good profile picture. I mean, that's pretty old. I should probably change my Facebook picture. But yeah, no, it was really cool to meet him. And you see, a lot of people criticize him for like the music or whatever, but really at the end of the day, he's throwing on a show.
Yeah, that's all he's doing. He's just pressing play and.
I mean, it's not even pressing play. Like, it's more the. I think people are like, oh, the cake thing's a gimmick. You know, he throws cake at his shows. Mm-hmm. I think it's fun. You know, I went to his show. I had a great time. He was swimming on a raft into the crowd. You know, he's literally crowd surfing with a raft, and I just thought that was like hilarious. And I really wasn't bothered by the fact that he wasn't up there DJing, or that the fact he had the song on loop for 5 or 6 minutes while he was interacting with the crowd.
Yeah,
I mean, to me, he's interacting with the crowd. He's doing his thing. Who am I to say that that's right or wrong or whatever? You know, it might not be technically the best mixing or whatever, but it's entertaining, and that's what you're paying to see. You're paying for the show, and if a DJ can entertain, what more can you ask, right?
Yeah, I mean, would it make sense to have like another DJ to keep track of his music, to like keep playing the music, but he's just like fucking around and stuff?
Well, yeah. I mean, the thing is, there's that route. There you see more and more. It's becoming more popular to have either duos or even trios. Like you look at, I don't know, like even Skrillex and Diplo, they form Jack U, right? And if I've been 3 or 4 of their shows now, and their stage presence is amazing. You know, you got Diplo on the mic for half the show, and then you know Skrillex is up there mixing, and then they switch a little bit, and Skrillex interacts with the crowd. But it's something to keep the crowd a little bit extra, something that they can't get on the radio. You know, something, that live presence, that feel, and you wonder sometimes, would Steve Aoki benefit from having another DJ up there? But what he does well by himself. He puts it on loop, and then you know he goes crazy essentially.
But like I heard that Steve Aoki he actually did the movie. He was in the movie Point Break, and he was in the party scenes in the movie, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Like a little cameo appearance.
Yeah. And it showed like the characters talking with him, and it was in the party in like the middle of nowhere in Europe. And like there's nothing out there, and there's a party going on like a cruise ship. So like it's crazy because they're in the middle. I think they were by Nepal, Mount Everest, that type of area over there, and they're just having a blast because
out by the Himalayas.
Yes, and it's crazy because you don't expect somebody famous to be there, and yet he is. I don't know. I always saw DJing as like it would bring you a lot of fame, but like you gotta keep growing and keep the same thing going, or else you're never gonna get better, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing to being successful is staying true to a style that you yourself enjoy. If you're just playing a music just for the fame, your fans are gonna catch on. You know, if you're doing it because you genuinely love it, that'll show right through the music. I mean, my best sets have come when I was really in the. I wasn't even paying attention to the crowd. I mean, I was glancing to make sure they were dancing and all that, but I was just in the zone. Right, this is music I wanted to hear, and then consequently, you know, they felt that, they felt the vibe, and they kind of trust you after a certain point, and you're able to open their mind to new music they might not have heard. You know, so I think being true to yourself as a DJ is the most important tip for success to becoming one. I mean, I'm no professional yet, but that's I think the biggest key. And it's funny you brought up India, though. I just want to really quickly talk about that. Like, India right now is like a huge point of concern for like the dance music community. Like, there's 1 billion people in that country, imagine if you could get like events like you have in the United States there. The profit is not only ridiculous, but the amount of people you could share this music with is even more amazing.
And
they're starting to have more and more festivals and all that. So I think that's great.
Yeah, and that's what like a lot of bands and a lot of like artists they go to places like that because they know they're going to draw in people to buy their stuff, to like want to listen to their music, and that's why they go to places like that. And they can go there once and never have to go there again because it's sketchy. It's always sketchy to go to places like that, but they do it to get their name out there. And bands like I don't mean to go off topic, but like bands like Metallica have performed on every continent.
Yeah. Literally Antarctica too.
Yeah. And it's crazy to think that because you don't see or artists like Nicki Minaj, Beyonce going to Antarctica to perform for the scientists.
Yeah, right.
But they just decided to do it because it was something that they wanted to do. But the last Skrillex song I actually listened to though was Purple Lamborghini with Rick Ross. Yeah, I was like, they talk about this purple Lamborghini, but I don't think they have enough money to get a good one or like a purple Lamborghini.
Oh yeah, they trust me, they do.
Well, like why did they have it in the video then? I mean, it was just basically off of Suicide Squad's.
Yeah, it was
Lamborghini.
Yeah, it was kind of the theme, I guess you could say, the theme song for it. I mean, you'll see Skrillex as himself, just individually, has become a real big hip hop influence. I mean, he's worked with Rick Ross, obviously, The Game, El Chapo. He whether you like to admit it or not, dance music, electronic dance music, is really fusing with the hip hop community, and that's where you get the intersection of trap and all that. So it's really fascinating to see where the music of the future will lead us, and I think that's one of the reasons trap's so big right now. You're taking two huge styles of music, hip hop and dance, and you're kind of taking the best of both and creating something new and fresh. And
I've never been to an Avicii concert, but like, would you say he does that?
Yeah, Avicii is the one person I regret not seeing because he's like done touring basically. He might come back. You know, always come back. But
to keep making money. But like,
I've never actually seen Avicii live, and I kind of feel bad about that. I think I had the opportunity to at a festival, but then I saw someone else. I might have saw Diplo, but that was. That's one person I do regret seeing, but everyone I've known that's gone to Avicii's concerts said they had a great time. And Avicii is actually fascinating because he kind of mixed dance music with country. That was something like people you really wouldn't think of that would go well, but he pulled it off amazing. I mean, how long was what's it called? The Nights, that whole album, like some of the songs from there. It was on the radio.
Was it on that Silhouettes album?
Like Hey Brother, that was on the radio for a long time.
Yeah, for about like a year and a half. Easily,
and it's still killing it. Like there's clearly a demand for this type of music. I mean, he's broadening the horizons of dance music. It's a globalization type of thing that it's a phenomenon that you're really seeing. It's showing that music really is a universal language, and that's really embodied by like dance music and the culture of it. It's a very open culture. Plur, peace, love, unity, respect. That's the motto, and it's really awesome to see. But from someone who I have seen that's both musically talented and puts on a great show, Deadmau5.
Yeah,
it's a very different kind of dance music because it's very like neural. It's very like when the beat, like he will deprive you of that bass, that beat kick, and when he brings it in, the excitement, energy is there. It's insane how he does it. It's just it's huge. It's epic. That's a great word, epic. It just comes in all at once, and then on top of that, I saw him in San Francisco for Treasure Island Music Festival. And literally at one point he played one of his longer songs, See Ya. It's like 8 minutes long, I think. And he literally just like, I deserved a break. He literally took out a couch on the stage, sat down with a Left Shark from the Super Bowl, and just started drinking a beer. And he was just chilling there.
Wait, did he take off his helmet to do it?
Yeah, he took off his helmet too. And it was just great. He's like, I don't do this everywhere. I just do this in San Francisco. And I was laughing. I was having a great time, man.
I mean, like, artists like Deadmau5, would you say they ripped off Daft Punk first, or are they doing their own thing, or they're deriving what other people did and making it their own.
See, music in a lot of ways is shared,
Mm-hmm.
right? How many original ideas are there? I mean, I'm pretty sure there's that one. I forgot what it's called. There's that one YouTube video, and it's like, oh, a lot of these songs all have the same key, like all these songs. Like there's like 85 songs that share the exact same like melody and all that, and it's like a winning formula essentially for music. And so in a lot of ways, yes, there are elements that are borrowed, but it's still his music. You know, he still went through the time of making it, and he's very thorough in his formula. He goes through it. He has a way of doing it. In fact, right now he has this thing called Masterclass where he's actually teaching you how to produce.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I thought that's really awesome. I mean, and he says it plain out. Any kid, you know, that has a laptop can make hit music. It doesn't take much anymore thanks to the revolution of technology.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really an awesome thing to see in the progression of dance music.
You were saying, like, with artists like Deadmau5 and stuff, it really doesn't take much because you can download an app now to make your own beats, and you can make your own beats online. It's not.
No, it's very accessible.
Mm-hmm.
So anyone that wants to get into it can. It's all right there. All you basically need is internet connection and a computer.
Yeah. I mean, would you say just getting a hold of the stuff back then must have been hard, but like now, like, would you say it's
back then, as in pre-computerized?
No, not pre-computerized, but like before like internet before YouTube was like a thing.
Yeah, YouTube has a lot to do with it because now you have this whole wealth of information right at your fingertips.
Mm-hmm.
Something that you would probably have to pay for, you know, to go to class for or something, is now available for free right in your own home, and it's really changed the game as far as number of people producing. I mean, look at SoundCloud. That is like as an amateur site where people can upload their music, but yet it's turned into a huge business. Whether you agree with their business model or not, but that's a different story. But it's one of those things that, yes, YouTube has changed music. It's changed a lot of things, actually. YouTube is one of the most revolutionary concepts. But, yeah, it was harder back then, I would say, than now, to answer your question.
Mm-hmm. I mean, like, people like PewDiePie, like, they were, like, the first ones to discover the internet and, like, oh, hey, I can make stupid videos, and they can make all these videos and make fame off of it, make money, but like, and that fame tends to go to your head, but they still stick to the basics. PewDiePie can have a video of himself talking and probably make $1 million off of that.
Yeah, just from ad revenue and
yeah.
People have a genuine need to be entertained,
Mm-hmm.
and whether that's through some silly humor or whatever it is, or music or movies, I mean, there's a need to be entertained. In fact, fun fact: movies are the only thing that, the only form of entertainment that doesn't suffer during like a recession or depression.
Yeah.
People still find $12 in their pockets to go to the movie theater, even when budget's a little tighter.
Mm-hmm.
It's that 2 or 3 hour escape from reality, and a lot of ways, music's, in my opinion, a more affordable version of that. At least if you have internet connection.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean, that's why people, or like with streaming movies and streaming on Netflix with the Amazon Fire Stick or Hulu, like you're able to see movies that are basically like brand new, and it's hard for people. I feel like maybe movies have gone down to decline. Would you say
quality wise,
or not quality wise, just like going to the movies and like
going to movie numbers?
Yeah.
I mean, well, hang on. We have the power of the internet, but we can always look up these numbers. But from my understanding, I still go to a movie theater, and it's still packed on a Friday night or a Saturday night.
Yeah. Well, it depends what movie you're seeing. If it's a top
of course,
movie.
if it's a blockbuster, there's some movies that you just have to see on the big screen, right?
Mm-hmm. That's why I wait like 3 weeks.
You wait for the reviews, see, this one's better, watch at home. This one's better.
Yeah.
Staying in the comfort of your own home to watch rather than seeing on a big screen. There's just some movies that are so epic that you need to see them on a large screen or in the IMAX, the IMAX scenario, that loud sound, the boom. You really want to feel the movie. Something more like, I think Transformers is much more entertaining in a movie theater.
Yeah.
Than in on a small laptop screen or your TV.
Yeah.
It's just big. It's epic. You actually hear the clanking. The fighting scenes are more epic. The explosions are there. It's a different experience.
And
I think because of that, you're never really going to see a full, decline of viewership. But whether or not it's gone down is a good question.
But since Netflix and streaming came out, I would say since streaming came out, has it gone down to decline? Because literally you can go online and type in you could type in, like, if you want to watch a movie, you just type it in on Google and it'll give you a list of sources where it streams from. And if you want like a 1080p one, that would be like a little bit harder to get, but it's like, you know what I mean. It's something like that. But,
I mean, to answer your question though, I did a little bit of research right here. According to Business Insider, there is a decline actually. Moviegoership has decreased from 2006 to 2015 overall. Actually, I think the lowest point was at 2014, and 2015 it started to go back up slightly, from 3.7 per capita to 3.8. But it's interesting you brought that up. I haven't really thought about the effect that had in the movie series. I always thought the movies are a place to see epic, large movies, and your home was more for those movies that are maybe a little bit more emotional or sentimental. That's how I've always seen it. But then again, I grew up in an age where I've always had the internet right there,
But I mean, I would say the new Transformers that's coming out in Transformers 5.
5. Oh yeah, that's right. It's 5.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's something that you can't. It's something that you want to spend your money on because you invested yourself so far into the series already. You want to see what else Michael Bay can do with fucking explosions, but it's so stupid, but it's true because he's trying. I mean, he's coming up with new ways to try to invoke you, and this time he's trying to invoke you by making Optimus Prime bad, or getting brainwashed to where he's fighting Bumblebee in the trailer, and that's crazy to think because, I mean, you every single movie you stated that Autobots and Decepticons are bad, and making the prime leader of the Autobots bad is really hard, or is a really crazy thing to do, and that's what people want, is
they want the drama, they want that unexpected element or something that makes them uncomfortable, right? This is a tactic often seen in movies, especially I mean, this isn't a new tactic by any means, but I mean, think of Harrison Bates from not Bates Motel. That's the TV series. What's the original? What was that based off of?
What movie?
I'm gonna think of the name really shortly, and then it's gonna be oh, that was obvious. Psycho. Sorry, it's Alfred Hitchcock. His 1960 movie Psycho. It's a black and white film, and one of the most famous scenes in there is the peeping Tom scene. There's a hole in the wall, and then the lady starts undressing a little bit, and there's a bit of an uncomfortable element to it when you're watching it, because you yourself are also the peeping Tom in a way.
Yeah,
you're literally watching. Do you look away? No, you're just seeing what's going on, and that's a really cool effect. It's an emotion you can play on, and it really creates that creepy feel to that the movie is known for.
Yeah, and
you'll see that in movies now, something that's uncomfortable, something that makes the audience uncomfortable. Those movies tend to do well.
Dark Knight.
Yeah,
I mean, Heath Ledger, man. He will forever be the Joker. That's.
I think he did pull it off the best, man.
Yeah.
I mean, he pulled it off so well that he actually kind of got into the lifestyle of the Joker.
I mean,
that led to his demise.
That's what they were saying, is that they were scared of his health because to get ready for the role, he spent 2 months in a small hotel room, and he would literally just act out his lines all day, and literally, I don't know what drug it was, but he would be...
Might have been heroin.
Yeah. He do heroin, and he would just do drugs like all the time, just to get in that mindset of the Joker that he was crazy, and I think he did say at a point that he would act his lines out on heroin. Yeah.
Actually, it wasn't heroin. It was prescription.
Okay.
Like oxycodone, which I have been on.
What did he overdose on?
It was actually a mix. The autopsy found oxycodone, hydrocodone, diazepam, tamazepam, and alprazolam, and a little bit less of doxylamine. But still, it was definitely an overdose. And this right there leads into a very big topic, and something that's kind of near and dear to my heart, like with the whole war on drugs things. I know this is kind of a little bit off topic, but when you think about it, prescription painkillers kill more people than so-called illegal drugs. Mm-hmm. You know, stuff like oxycodone and like whatever this hydrocodone. These prescriptive. These opioids, really they're opioids. Oxycodone is a form of opioid, and as is heroin. It's just as addictive, if not used in the right setting and under correct supervision. And they're one of the most overprescribed things. Oh, your back hurts, let me give you an oxy. Oh, let me give you this. Those amphetamines, like I'm sure you've heard of Adderall.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm having trouble focusing. Oh, take an Adderall. It's one of the most overprescribed things in medicine. And it really is causing a generation that are reliant on these drugs. The way drugs work is they literally can shape and change your brain's mechanism so that you chemically need them. It's not just a all in your head thing. It's all in your head, but it's also physical in the chemical sense. It's not just a want or wish. And it's sad to see. Honestly, there are better options out there, but because of stereotypes and history, how it's gone, options that are oftentimes safer, like CBD oil, are banned and classified as Schedule 1 now. Mm-hmm. No medicinal purpose according to the federal government, even though research shows time and time again that's not the case. Mm-hmm. And it's really a sad situation.
Did you see that film with it was with Tilda Swinton and Keanu Reeves? It was called Thumbsucker.
I have not. No.
It talked about that, and it talked about like how I don't know if it was Adderall. So like, don't quote me. I'm not a doctor. I'm not anything. I'm 17. It's just by what I hear.
Word on the street.
Yeah, but like I think Adderall was like 4 molecules away from like speed.
What Adderall is lab grade speed. It's crank. It's literally what you find on the street is just the lab grade version of that. It's an amphetamine. So like. The origins of this were really like if you think about the 1940s, people in the military were giving go pills. Mm-hmm. That's amphetamine. It was essentially Adderall. It would put them in the zone. It would get their heart going, their systems running up and out, and it would get them ready for combat, so to speak. It's been used for a while. It's not like this is a new 1990. Think about the name Adderall. Mm-hmm. Adderall is literally the word ADD for all. Yeah. ADD for everyone, like a solution for ADD. That's what it was meant for. And the problem is it's literally being applied to most everyone that says they have trouble focusing or whatever it is. And I go to University of California, Berkeley, a very competitive college. And you'll see some students thinking, if I take Adderall, I'll have an advantage. Adderall wasn't meant to give normal people a boost. It was meant to help people with a little bit of a deficit come back to normal levels of paying attention, being able to focus. Mm-hmm. It wasn't meant to take a fully functioning car into a race car, as that wasn't its intended purpose. And now more and more nowadays, you see that being the case. I actually took a whole class on this at Berkeley, the classic Berkeley class, Drugs in the Brain.
It's not something the health classes at Mount Carmel can teach you.
No, definitely not. It's not like it promoted drug use or anything, but it just encouraged you to do your own research on it. Is a lot of the. My mom is. She's probably not going to appreciate me saying her age, but she's from the time where you had Reagan on TV telling you, "Oh, these are dangerous drugs," or or George Bush, "This is a bag of crack cocaine sold outside the White House." My professor actually knew the people who came up with these like quotes or whatever that said, marijuana is addictive or this bag of cocaine, those are actually all fabricated. They were all lies. There was no research put behind that. It was just stated and then given as fact since it came from the government. It was propaganda, is what it was. And if you think about it, why do we call it marijuana instead of cannabis? Its Latin root is cannabis, but marijuana makes it sound a little bit more south of the border. Yeah. So back in 1900, 1908, you have J.D. not Salinger, what's his name? He was a big anti-marijuana guy back in the 1900s. He was part of the anti-marijuana movement.
Bob Marley?
No, not Bob Marley. That's a little bit before Bob Marley's time. But anyway, literally, they call it marijuana, make it sound more Mexican or south of the border to get the white vote to vote against it and say this is a dangerous foreign substance that your children might be smoking. Yeah. Because I think he tried it and he said, it has the most worst effects. Sorry, not J.D. Salinger. It was Harry J. Anslinger. That was what I was thinking of. Just the name was similar. But Harry J. Anslinger, big proponent of the anti-marijuana movement, and it's kind of been that way ever since. If you look at it, tobacco and alcohol are much more dangerous for personal use than marijuana is. But those are more socially acceptable drugs. Mm-hmm. Tobacco because you don't really get intoxicated by it. Alcohol just because people have been drinking that, and it's a European thing, right, for thousands of years now. Marijuana was more of a Native American ritual type of thing.
I mean, why didn't people in the health profession, when they use medical marijuana as a thing to help with, as a part of chemo and to help with your cancer, like why didn't they call it medical cannabis instead of medical marijuana? Because you're still using that derogatory term to say that marijuana is bad when it should be used in a certain way for good. That's why I feel like they should have called it medical cannabis, like you said.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing with... I don't really care what you call it. It's just interesting to know why we call it that. It was more the why behind it than the actually what we could have called it, Timbuktu for all I care. But it's one of those things where really, if you look at it, especially you could look up the statistics for arrests for marijuana, despite the fact that whites and minorities use marijuana at a equal rate. Mm-hmm. Guess who gets locked up and sent to prison, and oftentimes longer prison sentences when they do for it. It's the minorities, the African American community especially, they're suffering from it. It really is an excuse to lock up minorities. There's this great book, and it talks about how the war on drugs is the new Jim Crow. I think the book is literally called The New Jim Crow, and the whole thesis is that, the way our drug laws are set up, it's a way to keep African Americans and other minorities from progressing in American society. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you look at other countries, even like Portugal, they decriminalized drugs and drug use went down. Yeah. They had a rampant drug problem, and they said, "What if instead of locking people up, we offered therapy, treatment? We actually helped them, right? We didn't punish them." And it turned out great. It was a very fruitful campaign. The drug numbers were cut significantly. And I honestly think that's part of it. Because think about it, when you bring someone in a prison cell, that is not a positive environment. Yeah. If they were a criminal before, they might be when they get out. Yeah. Honestly, I think that's part of the problem. And most people in America are in jail for minor drug charges. We have 300 million people, but yet we have the most prisoners in the world, right next to China. Mm-hmm. We have and China has 1 billion people. Mm-hmm. I mean, I just let that sink in. It really is staggering how much this affects our laws and all that stuff.
But like this, like you were saying, like the psychological aspects of like going to jail and then coming out, that could change somebody a lot. And
think about it. If you had to be tough in there, and if you had to, I've never been to jail, but I would imagine it's not a pleasant place. You have to be always on your wits, always thinking someone's out for you. I mean, maybe that's a little bit popularized by the movies, with the jail shanks, but I'm sure it still happens in real life numbers. And I always see a report at least once a year about some jail killing or something of that sort. It's not like it doesn't happen. Yeah. So it's psychologically damaging, more damaging than the drug they're using themselves.
But like, I wanted to bring two things up because I did see someone that was in jail, and they said like, oh, nobody bothered me, nobody got on my case, but like the dude's like 6'5" and he's jacked as shit. It's like well,
I wonder why.
Yeah, it's like nobody's gonna bother you because they don't want to get their ass beat.
Right.
But then I saw a documentary about a person. He was in jail, and I think he was 24 at the time of his hearing, because when he was 12, he was driving the getaway car, and he was going to help rob a store in Florida. So
12 years old.
Yes, because I think they brainwashed him to do that, and he went into the store. I guess he pointed a gun at somebody, got scared, went back to the car, and he didn't shoot anybody. Nothing happened, but the other guy that he was with robbed them, and I think he brainwashed him for a while to get him to do that. But I guess the cops finally caught them, and he got 24 years to life in prison. And this was in Florida too. It wasn't like and he was African American, and it wasn't like they're gonna be lenient on minorities there either. So like they at his hearing, it was 12 years down the line when he was 24, to see if he could be released early, and he followed all the requirements and everything that was involved, and he was probably like, they said he was probably like one of the best behaved prisoners in the institution, and it was based on the judge whether or not to let him go. And it was an older white man, and he said that like, no, I'm not gonna. He basically said, no, I'm not gonna let you go because of like 12 years of being good. Like, no, I'm not gonna do that. Like, even though you followed everything, like you did all this stuff, I'm not gonna let you go because like you have to pay for your consequences. Basically, indirectly, that's what he said. And even I, like, not knowing anything about prison or anything like that, in terms of being in it or whatever, but like something like that's just crazy. And then like you think that maybe there had to be a little racism involved, maybe there had to be like something else, but you don't know what's going on in the judge's mind, but something had to do with it.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up, because I actually took a class this past semester that studied this. There's a famous U.S. Supreme Court case, and it's been judged as one of the worst decisions, along with like Plessy versus Ferguson, separate but equal. Yeah. It's McCleskey versus Kemp. And that case, it basically made it impossible to get people who were sentenced harsher because of their appearance. Made them, they still had to deal with it, essentially. They came up with this report, and it was very detailed, very in-depth, and the court acknowledged that this was a good report, and they found there was a very strong correlation between the way you looked and the way you got sentenced. So the people who had more traditional African-American features, such as a larger nose or darker skin, were more likely to be sentenced for a harsher crime, were given a harsher punishment for the exact same crime as someone who had more white characteristics or lighter skinned type features. And they found, I think it was something like 4.3 times more likely to receive the death sentence than a white person who did the exact same crime. Yeah. And it just goes to show you that there is, biases in our justice system. It's 12 people, right? And basically, the defense, they lost because the judge said, well, you basically have to get the people who sentenced them to admit that they were racist, because correlation doesn't equal causation. You can't just give them the benefit of the doubt here, even though you are innocent until proven guilty. Since he was already proven guilty, they said, well, unless one of the jurors wants to come forward and says they used race as a motivation, which, let's be realistic, who's going to say, I'm racist, that's why I gave him this sentence. No one did that, and still stayed on death row. And it's been ruled as one of the worst court cases. But yeah, our justice system definitely has a lot of issues that need to be resolved. And I mean, think about it. You're down to 12 other human beings to judge you who are your peers. But are they actually your peers, depending on your class or what you came from or what you look like, even? You know?
And like in some cases, you never even met these people before in your life.
Exactly. I mean, if you wanted a more dramatic view of it, there's a really great HBO series called The Night Of, and it just follows a typical college student's night that just went terribly wrong. and how his race ties into really his court trial and everything. It's a great watch. It's a cliffhanger type of thing, but it touches on this issue that we do have in our country. It's this country prides itself on equality, but it's not quite there yet.
Yeah, I mean, like with court cases, and I don't know if you saw the movie with Robert Downey Jr., The Judge.
No, I haven't.
Okay,
I love these actors that you're bringing up.
Yeah,
the movies sound interesting.
But it talked about like the death of or the manslaughter of a man and the accidental manslaughter, and it said like the father was I guess he was losing his sight, and he accidentally hit one of the people that the father put in jail because he was a judge himself, and Robert Downey Jr. has to defend him on that it wasn't a murder or anything. It was just an accident, and he got I think 6 months to a year. So,
yeah,
it seems like that.
That means they probably got manslaughter rather than murder. Because manslaughter, you're either getting 3, 6, or 11 years.
Yeah.
And then you could be out early with good behavior, all that good stuff. But murder, depending on the degree, first or second, you could be, 20 years, 25, life, whatever the jury wants to give you, really. But, yeah, I think our culture puts a big emphasis on the difference between purposeful killing and accidental killing. So that's actually also another fascinating topic to talk about. And oftentimes in real life they'll plead down a charge for murder to manslaughter or in different cases as part of the plea bargain because it's a much lesser charge. Even though it's still tragic, it still has the same result.
Yeah.
My biggest issue, I should say, with the criminal justice system is it's really not meant for improving people, which is what it should be. It's a for-profit system, and it's really just meant more people you lock up, the more money you make, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that leads to a lot of ridiculous laws that still exist or are very archaic and draconian sentences. And it's a shame to see in a lot of ways. I think if you are going to have a prison system that's focused on helping people, you shouldn't be trying to put as many people in prison. It should be for people who generally need the help to become a productive member of society, and we're just not doing that. I mean, if you look at, since it is a for-profit system, you just look at the state of California, 55 million people, and at the start of the 70s, 80s, 90s, most of the budget was actually going more towards the school systems. Mm-hmm. Nowadays, a very small portion of it, and most of the budget has shifted to the prison system. Mm-hmm. All the UC system, all university California schools, UC Berkeley, UCLA, UC Riverside, UC Santa Barbara, UC San Diego, all of them.
Becoming more expensive.
Yeah, that cost is a much more, I think, worthwhile thing to invest in. Mm-hmm. But you think about it, all those schools only have $1 billion endowment shared amongst them all. Mm-hmm. Then for all those schools, $1 billion endowment, and then you look at some other institutions that are private, like Stanford alone has $3.8 billion for their school. Yeah. And Stanford's a much smaller school. That's why you could see they have these awesome policies where if your parents make less than, I think it's $85,000 a year or $60,000, one of the two, your tuition's paid for. Or you look at Harvard, $23 billion. I mean, granted, Harvard's a little bit bigger than Stanford is, but still, the point is, public education is being underfunded, and you really are damaging America's future by doing that. You're putting college out of reach for many students by the cost of it. Mm-hmm. And whether you want to offset those costs through the state government or the federal government, it doesn't really make a difference as much as end result. But I think it shows something. If you have a state school system, that the state should be the primary investor in that. Mm-hmm. When the federal government's putting more money in than your state government is to your state school, I think that's a problem. And especially if you're putting most of that money that should be going to that school to the prison system, that's an even bigger problem. Yeah. So that's my 2 cents on it, as someone who goes to school and pays ridiculous amounts of tuition.
I mean, how else are you going to keep those prisoners at a mediocre lifestyle if you take that away, though, and then it makes it more dangerous in general?
You could cut the prison population in half by simply getting rid of minor drug charges.
Yeah,
get rid of possession. I mean, California just legalized recreational marijuana, and because that some prisoners are getting their sentences reduced or even getting out of prison now. I think that's a great step forward. That was Prop 64. And I like most of Prop 64. The only thing I didn't like about it is that it penalizes use by those under 21, which wasn't previously a crime. I think that was a little bit step in the wrong direction. They wanted to treat it more like alcohol, which I understand, but it's not alcohol, and it creates some interesting issues I'm sure we're going to see in court cases to come. But for the most part, Prop 64 did a lot of good in helping the country move forward, especially since California, the state with the biggest population, 60 million people, has now effectively doubled the size of the U.S. population that lives in a place where recreational marijuana is now legal. That is a huge step forward. It's going to force the federal government to change it from Schedule 1 to hopefully off the schedule system, but likely we'll see it's Schedule 2 or 3, knowing how the government is. But it forces change. States have the power to force change, and especially California. If Utah makes a regulation saying your cars can't put out much gas, some car manufacturers, all right, fine, we just won't sell in Utah. California says that. They're like, okay. We want that market.
Well, I like what Colorado did. They'll just be like, we sell marijuana.
Saw it was $1 billion revenue in taxes generated alone. That is, Colorado became too wealthy because of it in a lot of senses, and so there's a lot of appeal and allure to that. They had increased tourism numbers, especially by the over 21 crowd. So it was a lot of interesting things, and I think most of the West Coast now has legal. I think Nevada, all the West Coast is now fully legal recreational marijuana, and now that California has passed their vote.
With states like that, more people on the East Coast are going to gravitate towards that.
It's going to force change across the country. The one stronghold will be the more conservative South, right? But I think even they'll come around to it. I really don't have a problem with some. I'm all for states' rights, 10th Amendment. But the problem is, when it's interfering with someone's quality of life, in states that don't even have, medicinal marijuana, I feel terrible for the families who are usually poor that have the unfortunate situation of having a sick child that has maybe some form of epilepsy, where they could get seizures every day, hundreds of times a day. And the only thing that really helps with that is cannabidiol oil, CBD. That is not. It's not like THC where you get a high or hallucinatory effect. Not at all. You don't get any real psychological high or effect from it. It's a medicine. It really is, and it's the only thing that really cures it. Humans have natural THC and CBD receptors built in. People have been using cannabis for 50,000 years. We dug up plants of people using it. It's an ancient substance, and I think it should be a crime to criminalize something that can help improve someone's life. I feel bad for these families that have to go sell everything they own and move to another state that allows them to, medicinally treat their child, just so their child can have a decent quality of life. Instead of having, 1,000 seizures a week, having 3 or 4, because they're taking a small drop of oil that has no high effect on them. I think it's ridiculous to ban something like that, which they just put Schedule 1 this year.
I don't think that people should be, or people should be have charges filed against them for giving their child medically stuff that will help them medically, and that's one of the things that really, you're basically changing the course of that kid's life if you don't do that, and then they have to wait.
Taking their parent away.
Yeah.
Essentially. And then with these mandatory minimums, it's ridiculous. Someone, for their third, there's a 3-strike rule. Someone has their third time being caught with marijuana can get 60 years. 60 years. I could kill someone, and assuming I have a pretty good lawyer, I could get out quicker than that man will.
24 years, something like that. 26.
Good behavior, I get out in 18, hopefully. It's crazy to think that, and it shows you how ridiculous some of these laws. There are judges who are even against. There's a judge who said, I should be giving you a fine of $1,000 right now, but instead I have to give you 20 years, and because that's the minimum I can possibly give you due to the laws. And I'm really sorry, but until the laws change, I can't do anything about it. And when a judge is speaking out against that, I think that speaks numbers. We always have this. Think about any major court trial. People always want to assume guilty, even though you're innocent until proven guilty. People always have that tendency to lean towards guilty. oh, what was the news say? The alleged killer, they only add alleged to your defense, and then they say alleged killer killed their child, like as if it's a fact.
OJ was the other way around.
OJ was no one wanted to be true with OJ. OJ was a very special case. No one wanted that to be true.
I wonder how much they paid either the judge or the jurors to.
I mean, the modern day OJ in a way, I think, is Bill Cosby.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when it was on the news, my grandmother was like, "Look at those ladies lie." That was her initial reaction. People that have a likable personality,
because it was like one or two women that said it. They may have just wanted to get.
And then they waited later,
and then like 3 or 4, 5, 6 more people came up and said that he did that.
Right, and I'm still a firm believer in you're innocent until proven guilty. But I mean, sometimes you see large numbers, it gets a little bit iffy, and especially with like victims of a sexual assault, it's never their fault. You can't be blaming the victim. Mm-hmm. It's no one's fault except the perpetrator who does it. And I think, although I will say, if they are lying, it should be the same punishment that would have been inflicted upon whoever they would have blamed for it should be inflicted upon them. So if that's 20 years, that should be given to them for lying about something that severe, just for attention or fame or whatever, money.
Yeah, and that's what people try to do. That's what people try to do with Justin Bieber, Derrick Rose. They try to do it with big stars that have money, and so they can get money for themselves. But
so it's a well-known.
Yeah, it's like everybody just wants like
create an issue with someone famous, and you yourself will have that 15 minutes of fame too.
Yeah, and like with Derrick Rose, it was something along the lines of like gang
activity. That's what I heard.
And it was a whole other case. You can look it up, but it just talked about like how him and his friends raped a girl in an alley, and there were allegations that he wasn't even there. He was inside the club, but who knows? I mean,
I wasn't there. I wasn't a part of it. I didn't see it.
I didn't do it. But yeah, but like with people, you hear people that are like, "Oh yeah, Justin Bieber is the father of my baby."
Yeah,
and then Justin Bieber's like, "I never met this girl before in my life. Who the fuck is she?"
Yeah, you get a paternity test to figure that one real quick.
It only takes about like a couple days to figure out, and then I don't know how long paternity tests take. Would you know?
I wouldn't, but I can't imagine it being like... Because think about Mari. Yeah. You are the father.
Yeah. Or Mari, people pay...
It's entertainment. I understand that. I was just... As a reference. But, yeah.
Jerry Springer's fake. Like,
yeah, a lot of it. I didn't know that. Actually, at the end of the show, they have a little like disclaimer, like, these aren't actual cases. Like, really? It goes by so quickly, you have to pause your TV to see it.
Yeah. I mean...
But, yeah.
I mean, like people like that get on the Dr. Phil show, they just do it. They act stupid so they can be on the show and get their fame. And I feel like that's just a stupid way to get your money, because you're always going to be seen like that on the internet. You're always going to be seen like that.
Some people want that.
Yeah. And I mean, that's not a good way to live in terms of like trying to be stupid for the rest of your life or acting stupid. I don't know. It was just a whole other, it's just a whole other thing with Dr. Phil. Like, you can't compare it with Jerry Springer, because they're not the same thing.
You should separate your entertainment from reality, and that's like, I think someone who does an excellent job of this is Sacha Baron Cohen. Mm-hmm. Smart man, graduated from Oxford with mathematics, and really smart guy. But think about it, his character is Ali G.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, me is here. He's interviewing famous politicians and all that, but he sounds like a complete imbecile.
Yeah.
Like, I forget. He was talking with a judge, and I guess caned is like English slang for like getting high. Mm-hmm. So should children be caned at school? He's like, I believe they should be. Like he was referring to caning, like as far as discipline goes. And then he's like, oh, wicked. It's just. But yeah, it's just funny stuff like that.
I completely understand, because...
But he's still a smart man. You don't mistake Ali G for him, actually. He's so smart that he could play someone like Ali G. And a lot of it's based off my favorite form of comedy, malapropism. Like he spoke for Harvard as Ali G. And there's a part in there, he goes off on a tangent, but then he says, but I digest. instead of I digress.
Yeah.
It's something that, smart people are like, wait a minute, that's wrong. they get a little chuckle at it. It's a lot of the wrong words.
But like people like with the political debates, like you think like people like Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, like you think they just do it for as an act, but no, that's really how they act in real life, and that's just like I don't want that as my president.
Yeah,
like leading our country, because that could eventually, if you make the wrong decision, if you say something wrong to like a political leader. If you're being racist to a specific country, it's not gonna go well for you. It's just you're asking for a nuke, right?
The United States has a long history of doing that.
Yeah,
I mean, from the 1800s onwards. I mean, think about it. The Chinese Exclusion Act that barred immigration from China, even though we had a treaty with them saying they could come back and dig the gold mines out in California. But they said, actually, never mind. Or think about Native Americans even. How were they treated? Trail of 1,000 Tears. Andrew Jackson just led that right through. You got a lot of history that's going to start repeating itself. I mean, a lot of the words they were using was strikingly similar to like World War II type propaganda, and it is a scary direction. But the good news is we have the internet now. We can see the atrocities being done, and people can hold their governments accountable if they unite. There's that whole movement of giving power to the people back, and that's what I'm really for. Your personal freedoms and liberties. In my personal opinion, would the country's route be much different had Hillary Clinton won over Donald Trump? Not too much different at the end of the day.
Okay.
But yeah, that's politics. That's a whole long discussion you could get into on its own.
But if you're in politics, don't do drugs. I mean, like...
Oh, of course not. Of course not. I mean, especially like some harder drugs or something like heroin or crack, even like something just more addictive than most. In fact, I mean, think about crack. Like, there's this episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I think it was Mac that got addicted to crack.
No, it was Dennis and D.
It was Dennis and D. That's right. No, Mac was the one in the limo.
Yeah,
Mac was the one
Charlie with all the hookers.
And Charlie with the that was one of my favorite episodes. I remember they're like, how much for one crack? For a beginner, it's $300.
And like they lower the window down just to crack.
Yeah,
like just a little bit, so because they don't want
crack.
to.
No pun intended.
Yeah, I was trying to blow past that because I didn't want to think about the pun, but they lowered the window a little bit because it was a big black guy that got scared and he just gave him the crack rack, and then like it took place. It showed like a time lapse for like 3 days.
Yeah. And
like 3 days later, they were like, their apartment was all shitty. They wanted to go on welfare.
A little bit, yeah. I'm a recovering crack addict. And
Charlie was on the welfare store. He went into the welfare store because he thought it was a welfare store. And it was funny. Dennis was trying to make Dee sound like she was retarded.
Yeah, or something. I remember something.
Yeah.
It sounded just like really like
my mentally
absurd.
retarded sister or whatever. And it was funny because, like, it was literally, like, 10 years of the same antics, and like, nothing's changed. And that's really what they showed in Season 11. Like, in the past 11 years, nothing's changed. It's been the same. And it showed, like, it had the same welfare lady in the show, and from, like, when Season 2 came out. And
see, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And it had the same welfare lady that was at the desk, and then it had like the same slave worker that was in the welfare store, or the welfare office. Sorry, welfare store. So it had like the same characters, and it was just to show that like nothing's really changed in the past 11 years, and it's been the same show, and that's what people love about shows. That
it's kind of like an inside joke, It's like
it's like it's the same, and that's what's great about it, but. If like I feel sorry for people like Bill Clinton because they have so many allegations against them in terms of like drugs and sleeping with
he's
them.
actually a charming guy in real life.
Yeah,
I saw him speak. He came to my school to speak, and I mean, it wasn't for politics or anything. It was more of an educational thing. But
Berkeley,
Berkeley. He came to speak, and there's like 4 or 5 candidates. And, he was, briefly shaking hands for about 5 to 10 seconds with each of them.
Mm-hmm.
But then, there was this fairly attractive lady, and he spent, maybe 30, 40 seconds, and then the whole crowd's going, ooh. These are grown-ass adults, right? Like 18 to 25, some graduate students, obviously, in there. And they're going, ooh, like a bunch of, 6th graders just because of this scandal. It was pretty funny at the time. I feel bad for him.
Yeah, that's something that you can't. That's something that's no one's gonna get rid of you because
it's attached to your name forever.
Yeah, because Gabriel Iglesias, the comedian, he does a really good Bill Clinton impression, and all he says is and I guess he was playing a joke with his wife, and
they were
who
it is.
Yes, you know it. That's awesome.
Yeah,
and I guess all the story goes is that he was knocking on the door with he was foreplaying with his wife, and and he said, and the wife was like, "Who is it?" And he was like, "You know who it is," in the Bill Clinton accent. But I suggest you go look at that video. It's really funny.
It's a classic. Bro.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know if it's still on Netflix. That was from the Fluffy tour, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
That was the I think
that was the Netflix special.
Yeah, that was the show that really got his name out there and really got him famous. And
his imitations are spot on.
Yeah. But going back to crack cocaine, don't do it if you're in politics.
And don't pay $300 for one crack. It's $5. That's why it's a commonly used substance, because it's cheap.
Well, I used to hear that with dog fighters that they used to they would smash up crack cocaine and they would give it to the dog so it could go crazy in the ring. And
I haven't heard of that.
Yeah, it was
makes sense, but it's brutal.
Michael Vick.
Michael Vick.
But it was they used to do that, and then somehow they would make a profit off of it. But it's dogfighting in general. But yeah, so I just if there's one thing that you should take away from this podcast, or a talk show, don't do crack cocaine.
Don't mess around with that politics.
Don't dogfight. Yeah, it's something really, really that you shouldn't get into, and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia really proves that regular people will literally sink and try to go on welfare just because they're on drugs, and don't do it. that's the one thing I have for it, but you know what? That's
proceed with caution.
Yes, but
it's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of research recently put into this stuff, and I guess the biggest, I don't know if it's a myth. I guess you could call it a myth. Marijuana is a gateway drug. That's just what we've always been told, and all that stuff. But I guess it's kind of funny because do you know anyone who just jumps right away, straight away to heroin? No, it's I think. Like I said earlier, correlation does not equal causation. Sometimes you can kind of imply that, but in certain cases it doesn't. And what I think really needs to be done, there needs to be more research. I think the government should be more open to allowing research to take place and see what happens instead of just immediately saying something's bad and then banning it. Mm-hmm. For all we know, it could be. But until we have that research and the studies there to back that up, I don't think it should be, put aside, especially when you're interfering with some people's personal freedoms. Honestly, if it's only affecting the person doing it, I really don't care. I think that's their right. If there's, if they want to do it, let them do it. That's the boat I'm in. I'm not to be morality police of anyone else. I'm not here to judge. So, you got to make your own decisions in life, and that's the part of being an adult.
But speaking of drugs. Breaking Bad.
Yes. Great
series. What was ironic about that show is that Jesse Pinkman calls everyone a bitch. He was really everybody.
In real life, I think he has a lot of requests hey, could you call my wife a bitch for me?
That's all
She would love it if you called her. He's
and he people do come up to him when he's walking down the street. He's like, hey, could you like they said, like, hey, could you call me a bitch?
Yeah,
and then he's like, yo, bitch.
Yeah.
And then, but yeah, the show was ironic because it showed how when he calls everybody that, he's really the bitch because he's following everybody. He's following everybody else and trying to do what everybody else asks him to do, and that's
in real life. You mean like the pleasing the people like type of?
No, I'm talking about in the show because, you know how he was like he was Gus's worker. He was.
Oh, I see. Yeah, he was always under Walter White.
Yeah,
that's true.
And he was basically.
See, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
That's I guess that is irony. And it's fine. I never thought about that. That's really cool that you brought that up.
And that was just like a bad, or it was ironic, but like I like it. I like the show a lot because it showed what drugs could do to yourself and to a family, and you're not even doing the drugs. You're just selling them, and just like how drugs in general can affect a person's life and affect the lives of multiple people.
Yeah, I just saw this movie. I think it's still in theaters, actually. A work Christmas party.
Oh yeah,
something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like this, it's like I don't know if it was a movie or the trailer. I kind of forgot, but it was like, "Are you doing meth again?" I'm like, maybe. He's like, "You shouldn't do that," and he's like, "Because it's a gateway drug." Like, no, because it's the finish line. Oh my god, which is about accurate. Like meth is probably like the worst thing you could put in your body, and then heroin right there and all that. But
because it really does destroy your life, and
addiction is a really interesting. I mean, actually, the most addictive substance is nicotine. I mean, we all know people who've quit 3 or 4 different times, and the fact that they quit 3 or 4 different times shows you how addictive it is. They go back to it. It's a relapse. But
I mean, with addictions, I mean, you could be addicted to basically anything that
sugar.
gives you, that
some
gives
people
you
need
pleasure.
that pop. If some people need anything, honestly, it's an overload. Too much of anything is a bad thing. Even too much water can kill you. Water poisoning. You know, it's
how is that possible? If like you drink just constantly,
it'll knock your body's like your sodium potassium type of your electrolytes will. You won't have the right balance, right? So you'll have too much water, and you kind of basically and the sodium potassium pump will stop functioning, and that's necessary for life. So you die.
But like with that being said, with water, I've seen people that are allergic to water, and like
that is really rare. I've heard of that too, and that is probably one of the worst ailments. Remind me, is the allergy to the water a more physical thing, like they had a rash to it, or is it actually like they can't breathe, life-threatening type of allergy? Internet, of course. Let's defer.
But
water allergy.
I think they're allergic to the chemicals that they put in it to make it.
It's not like they're allergic to pure H2O, but it's more the fluorine and the chlorine.
Yeah, it's to make it drinkable from the tap. But people, I mean, if you get this podcast not sponsored by Brita filters, but if you do get a Brita filter, I feel like it does clean everything out, and it does make it clean water.
Does it taste different? That's what I'm interested in.
I mean, it depends how dirty your pipes are. If your pipes are clean and it goes through the Brita filter, I'm sure it'll taste the same. It's just
Flint, Michigan, right? Flint, Michigan, the water crisis in Flint, Michigan, they have like terrible water. Like it's not even safe to drink.
What is it like
in the United States too? Yeah, this was a big issue.
Jesus, but like,
what is Aleppo?
But like, it's a really big concern because like, if you're drinking Ice Mountain, they don't. It's pure Ice Mountain stream water, and it's not really filtered all that much. So like, you're drinking like straight from the glacier.
See, I don't know about that. Like, I know that's the advertising on it, but I bet you there's for questions. See, they give you a number on here to call, but it's still, Ice Mountain is still Nestle, right? It's.
I don't know. Like Nestle makes their own water.
Yeah, here it is. Nestle Waters North America Incorporated.
Okay. So, like, yeah, we're drinking Ice Mountain right now.
Sanctuary Spring. See, it gives you the sources on here. It says Sanctuary Springs, Rodney, Michigan, Everett Spring, Everett, Michigan, and or White Pine Spring, Everett, Michigan. But they still have to purify it in some way to make it legally bottleable and safe, and because there's still nothing's ever pure, right? So I mean, unless you're forming it in a lab somehow,
but it's curious to think of like how like if one parasite slips through the cracks and they don't end up eradicating all the parasites in the water bottle, and that person gets sick, and then they spread it, and then an outbreak happens, something like that. That I don't know if that's possible.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons USDA was formed. I mean, the book, The Jungle, literally, it's about a meat processing plant and how they would, drop the meat on the floor and then just put it right back on the line, and people would be coughing and sneezing all over it. And they were so disgusted by it that they made a government organization to regulate food and health assurance, now known as the Food and Drug Administration, FDA.
That's what Contagion was all about.
Essentially, I mean, spoiler alert. I mean, I'm giving you a good couple of seconds to click off in case you were interested in watching it, but I haven't yet. But spoiler alert for Contagion. The whole thing was just some guy didn't wash his hands after handling a pig.
Right, or it was a rabbit bat that ate the banana, and
then that poisoned the pig. Right,
the banana fell. The pig ate the banana. Then
you have a much better memory of this than I do. I thought it was just because like he touched like a pig or something, and the raw pig had the contagion in it, and he didn't wash his hands when touching other meats, and then one person spread it, and then it's a pandemic.
Well, like whatever, it's like germs happen like that all the time. It's like
right now we're really worried about like a bacteria that are immune to antibiotics. These superbugs, they are evolving, and bacteria and viruses evolve at a much faster rate than animals or humans do. So they are going through rapid amounts of. What our fear is that we won't be able to treat them. We won't be able to prescribe you medicine because they are immune to it all. They have antibiotic resistance, and it's kind of just over.
Because
that's one argument against using antibiotics.
Just like how humans and animals can adapt to nature. You see, like, germs can adapt as well, I would assume, right?
Exactly. And we always try to, like, be a step ahead. Like, for example, bananas, the Cavendish. And how that came about was because, it's more resistant than the old bananas they used to. Almost all bananas almost went extinct. And so we found a more, bug-resistant form, a more pest-resistant form of banana. But now you're seeing that's even being challenged now, and bananas are, again, endangered in that sense. It's really interesting. And by the way, real quick, I got the water allergy is more of a physical discomfort.
Okay.
It's more of the allergy to the chemicals, like you said. Like if someone goes swimming, it's the chemicals in the pool, like chlorine, that'll make them break out in hives or itch or something.
Yeah, and that's not really the best solution. I wouldn't say don't let your kid go swimming, but like just be aware of it. And then like if she needs to go to the hospital, then I would not let anybody in my pool or whatever. I don't know.
It's interesting all these man-made stuff we add to natural things. Like we add fluoride to our tap water. And fluoride's good for teeth and all that, but you don't want to put too much in there, right? It's damaging to the brain.
I mean, yeah.
Heavy metals, all that good. Yes.
But, like, I would say, like, going back to bananas, you were saying...
Yeah.
I mean, if we didn't have bananas today, I mean, we would have nothing to visualize our penis in the porn star's mouth. When they do those ads or commercials for sucking on a banana or whatever, we wouldn't have that if they went extinct. So
popsicles,
yes,
easily. No, but I just remember these fun facts. I think I got this from SciShow News or something. But those little candies that you get, how the banana ones don't really taste like banana.
Yeah,
they do. It's just they taste like the old banana, the 1950s banana.
Oh, really?
That's what they taste like.
They tried to make this taste like that.
They didn't change the candy flavor.
Okay.
That's what it is. That's why it doesn't taste like a banana that we know today. Ours are a little different tasting.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but there are different colored bananas, I would assume, rather than just yellow and green.
According to Saturday Night Live, there are 5 types of banana.
I don't remember that skit. What was it about?
It was recent. It was with John Cena, man. It's like you gotta watch.
Yes, I remember seeing that.
There are 5 types of banana: yellow banana, brown spotty banana, really brown, green, and round. Oh, that's an orange. Hey, that is an orange round banana. Trying to make us lose the game, nerd. It's a great skit. If you didn't watch it, you probably don't understand that. It's a 5-minute video, well worth your time. I know SNL's not everyone's favorite, but this skit was done very well.
And they usually don't do a lot of good skits, but like now because all their jokes are really vulgar. When Amy Poehler and Tina Fey were on it, it was pretty good because
I was still I'm younger, so when I started watching it, Seth Meyers was doing a Weekend Update.
Yeah, and I feel like he does a really good job of that. And they had to get a guy that looked like Seth Meyers, like talk like him. That's why they got Colin Jost to do it. I mean, I thought Cecily Strong was really funny when she did it because I was really upset when she stopped doing it because they wanted her more in skits rather than.
Do you know if they still do? My favorite skit was the Misinformed Informer. Bobby Moynihan played him. And he's like, Seth, I heard about whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's like, John Boehner got new speakers for his house. Snooki's mom, Nancy Polizzi, gave him to him. It was a bunch of malapropism again, but it was just hilarious. It's just misinformed news.
And he keeps looking around.
He's always checking, like, I heard from this guy. Where'd you hear from? Meaty Joe. The most untrusted sources.
Seth Meyers is like, are you pretty sure about it? He's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure.
He always gets higher in pitch, and it's great.
Because it's basically like a Pinocchio plan, because every time he says he's pretty sure, his voice gets higher, and then every time Pinocchio lies,
his nose gets bigger.
Yeah. So I always thought that was pretty funny, and then like it was I liked it because as soon as Seth Meyers left, like they had all the characters that were extremely popular with
there's a massive outflux of characters then.
Yeah, and then they did like SNL, Lorne Michaels, they decided like, you know what, we're gonna leave those characters with Seth Meyers, and we're not gonna bring them to Colin Jost or Cecily Strong or whatever, because it was Seth Meyers' skit with them. It wasn't a skit to keep going, and that's why they don't bring back Stefan a lot. With
that
Bill
was a
Hader.
fan favorite though.
Yeah, with Bill Hader. And that's why they did bring it back for one episode with Colin Jost and Michael Che, because they thought the character was funny, and it was funny because when Bill Hader pulled up, he looked all shocked that he didn't see Seth Meyers there. It was like Colin Jost and Michael Che, and they think that Stefan's like borderline racist because he kept looking at Michael Che all weird. But I don't know. They do a good job. Did you happen to see? Who was it that did the monologue? It was like they killed the monologue. Dave Chappelle.
Dave Chappelle, the
Yes.
Chappelle Show. Yes,
Yeah.
dude.
He did.
Skace.
But he did his monologue. It was really good. It's not something that I'm surprised they didn't.
On SNL, yeah, I actually saw that one. You're right,
because he was swearing, and I'm surprised they didn't bleep it out for like different time zones and stuff. But I'm surprised they didn't bleep it out at all.
I'm glad they didn't. America should not be censored.
Because his comedy is based around the truth, and that's what's really cool about him. He's very.
They did a bunch of. That was when they found out Donald Trump won, right? That's when Dave Chappelle was on, and then they're like all acting shocked. There's that one skit. He's like, "Oh, you really didn't see this coming?"
And then he's like, "God damn it, Obama! I just got Obamacare. Why the hell did you have to leave?" And then he's like, "Trump's gonna take it away." But yeah, that was a great skit. But like going back to John Cena, He was in the movie Sisters.
He's doing a lot more movie stuff. He expanded beyond wrestling, and I think that's great to see. I mean, think about it. Yeah. It's a natural progression line.
And like, he was doing a lot of movies because I think he did the movie with Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell, Daddy's Home, and then he did Sisters.
Yeah, he just had a cameo role in that.
Yeah.
I remember him. He had 12 Rounds, the Marine.
Yeah, and then he's coming out with that new movie that's going to be on Amazon.
There's older films, but yeah, I've heard about that too.
But he was,
and he's a meme legend now. You know, you can't see me.
Yeah, and that's great because he's getting a lot of fame. He's getting a lot of popularity. But like, I would say from like 2005 to 2010, he didn't like people that really just saw him as a wrestler and nothing else. But it's funny to see him. It's really cool to see him now and like how much he's grown. And in the movie Sisters, he was talking about like all the different types of drugs, and he just kept listing them. I was like, how many drugs is he going to talk about?
Oh, I could
like,
probably do the same.
Because he literally went like 2 minutes straight of just listing off drugs. He was like, and like the popular drugs were like the first 15 seconds, and then like all the other drugs, he didn't know what he was talking about. I'm sure you could find it, but it was
ketamine, methamphetamine.
He was literally like, I got heroin, I got crack, I got cocaine, I got this, I got that, I got this, and it's just like it's completely insane of like how much drugs that they listed. And he was like, I got stuff to make a penis hard, I got stuff to make a penis soft, I got stuff to put you to sleep, I got stuff to make you go crazy. And it's just like, and he had, when he opened the box, I thought it was really funny because he had a box of like to put all your sewing stuff, all your sewing,
like a sewing kit. Yeah.
And he had it. It was just like filled with drugs. But I don't know. I always thought that was pretty funny. But I mean, other than John Cena, like we do have to wrap this up eventually.
Yeah, true.
So if you liked us, come visit us on Facebook. We have posted the links of the YouTube videos. If you like to subscribe, like us on Facebook, like us on Instagram, like us on Twitter, Wishful Thinkerz, with a Z at the end, not an S, because we're original like that. Yeah, but just come, like, and subscribe. We love doing this. This is something that we really like to do. We're not in it for the money, but we just like putting our humor out there, and that's something that we admire about like comedians.
It's food for thought with a light tone to it. You know, it's nothing to get too deep or personal about. But
dry comedy. That's all it is, and we do like it. So give us a like, subscribe, and we'll see you guys later.
See you guys.